Merry
Good.
Christmas.
And to you too.
Okay.
Right.
That's right.
We got Carl here too.
Yes, Carl.
Good. And we got big.
Thanks for the warning though. Yeah. We might not be on our best behavior.
You guys are always right.
Yeah.
Oh, and the building inspector is on Zoom as well?
Yes.
It's too advanced. It's too, I did it a few times. People.
How are the kids?
They're
Good.
good.
Have a good holiday.
Yes. Guys.
Cook, clean up guy and washing. All of it.
You were all of it, right?
All of it, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you do it all.
that's all it is.
Hmm.
Trying to do everything that's the-
Well, look at this nice packet. Who put all this together? I love it.
Yeah.
Try to make it as easy as possible.
Thank you.
So let's see, I can see Margot and Stacy. And I hear Mike.
Okay, yes, I'm here. Hi, Scott.
And is Carl there?
Carl is here, yes.
He's talking to Brian,
Okay.
but he's.
You gotta turn the camera just a little or blow it out or something so I can see you guys. All right, I got Margot.
I'll
Over
go.
here, this is great.
Is Kyle Shoemaker with you?
Yeah. yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, she's monitoring me.
Okay, no problem.
Yep.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah, I apologize for not being able to be with you, but I thought an abundance of caution would be good because Gina's had COVID the last week and I just feel like it would be better not to gather with people because obviously I'm exposed. So far I have no symptoms, so all is good. I did Drew called me coughing and said that it would be better if he probably did not gather with people also. So that's why we're doing this. But I think that, let's see, we're at 7:32. It seems like we have a quorum present. Is there any reason not to call this meeting to order at this point?
No,
Not, yeah, except that I can't see Carl and Mike, so I'll just have to listen to their what they have to say in the background.
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
That's right.
There's Carl.
There I am.
Um,
Ready for dinner.
So I think that at this point, again, the main item on the agenda is the reconstruction of Stewart's, which again, I could see as very positive for the community. Just looking, we've seen, or at least I've seen their new building in several different sites to have a peaked roof instead of the flat roof building that's there will fit much better in the community. On the other hand, again, I have some pretty strong concerns, but I think that probably maybe the best thing that we should do is let the Stewart's representative introduce himself and take us through the application and we can go from there.
Yeah. Here's
Hello, everyone. My name is Marcus Andrews. I'm with Stewart's.
hi.
Thank you for taking the time this evening to make it out on this, busy holiday stretch of the end of the year. But here before the board this evening for Stewart's recently purchased a portion of land behind our existing store. We're looking at the possibility of rebuilding a new Stewart's store. Once the new Stewart's is constructed, there would be the demolition of the old store and the old gas, and then construction of a new gas canopy with gas tanks. The existing curb cut on 82, excuse me, would remain, as well as access off this side access road, which would just be extended to our proposed edge of pavement for parking along the backside of the building. We're here before the zoning board this evening, seeking an area variance for the front yard setback for our building. We are in a hamlet Main Street zone. We're really kind of at the start, or I guess end of that zone as it gets into the Main Street area of Pine Plains. The zoning calls for a 10-foot minimum, 25-foot max. So the building pretty much as close as possible to Route 82.
How far back is it from 82 on this drawing?
Our existing buildings at 104.6, our proposals at 163.5. What we're looking to do is to be able to keep the existing store open during construction, be able to service the community. We really would have no downtime as far as building access. All of the construction in a new building would happen behind the existing shop. Once the new shop is open, we would have access, again, through fencing. We'd have access for customers to the new building while the old building gets demoed and the remainder of the site work is completed. We look to be able to, continue with service throughout construction for the area. We know this ends up being more than just a convenience store for a lot of small towns. It's a neighborhood grocery store. It's, coffee shop, meeting place for breakfast. So we look to allow those services to remain open throughout the construction process. And that's pretty much a quick summary of what we're looking to do. In order for this building to actually meet the setbacks would require for the existing store to pretty much be shut down completely for construction.
And how long would the construction be?
Construction is you're about 10 weeks for the building or behind it. And then once the new shop is open, the old shop comes down probably within a day or two. Then the gas work starts, and that's approximately a month. So you're about 4 weeks. So you're 12 to 14 weeks total.
4 or 5 months, depending on how.
Right.
Building inspections and all that good stuff.
Exactly. There is,
Right.
the building
Say at the most 6 months.
From today to
Start
be
to
open.
finish.
Oh, start to finish? Well, we wouldn't start anything without the building permit, without DOT as
Right,
well
right.
as.
But there's permits
DOE.
one that go through as you're going.
Right.
We would.
You have an electrical inspection, then you have a plumbing inspection.
Correct,
Right,
correct,
right.
correct.
There's always hang up.
There's always hang up, yes.
So we're like 6
We're
months.
obviously looking, we're obviously a business. We want to get this open, as quickly and safely and to code, obviously, as possible.
Yeah, I just wanted to step in for a minute because Drew and I, we got looking at this a little bit more. And so I wanted to invite Drew. We discovered that in the past, we'd missed a couple things in the zoning law. And so Drew, you might want to report on what we found.
Yeah, I was reviewing for the meeting tonight, and in the zoning law, there's a supplementary requirements for a convenience store with gas pumps. And my apologies to the applicant for not picking this up sooner, but there is a limit of 2,500 square feet. Now, Stewart's, when they put the addition on, they went up to about 3,200 square feet. And I don't know if the planning board can pick up on it, or they also have the ability of a waiver of this section of zoning law. So I'm not sure if they actually gave Stewart's a waiver to exceed the 2,500 square feet, or if it was just an oversight. Nevertheless, that in this case, I guess that's history. The new store is going to be up to 4,200 square feet. So that is going to be an issue in regards to the zoning law and this 2,500 square foot limit.
So at a minimum, we're talking about a variance from the setback, which right now is a maximum setback of 25 feet. They're asking for 163 feet. So that's like 130 some odd feet variance they're asking for, plus to exceed the store size of the requirement now is 2,500 square feet. Keep in mind, they are raising this site completely and replacing it with a new building. Normally, you would force them to come into compliance with what the zoning is. The zoning is for 2,500 square feet. They're looking for 4,200 square feet. So those are major issues. The other concern that I have, having sat on, and I think Margot sat on some of this too, we went through, years of the whole comprehensive plan, setting up the zoning. We identified these properties as gateway properties to the community. It sets the whole tone for what we wanted for our hamlet. The whole comprehensive plan speaks to developing a strong community center that is pedestrian oriented, that slows traffic down, that in no way looks like a suburban mall with parking out front. And in this case, I'm sorry, the plan that's in front of us shows 105-foot gas canopy is the first thing you're going to see out in front of a store that is set way, way back. I'm willing to work with the store. I mean, to replace a flat mansard roof building, which I never found to be, honestly, to be very attractive, with a gable roof. And if you take that, I just took it and cut out the proposed building. It fits in front of the existing building. In other words, with 15 or 20 feet, you could still put up a fence, build the building out front, and keep the existing store open. So again, there are real concerns here from an aesthetic standpoint. And again, most of the time we're dealing with 10 or 15 feet to take care of trees or something, but to have 130 some foot change, that's it says right in our legislation, we're supposed to give the smallest relief possible. And this is just, I have real concerns.
Well, my question is, were they clearly they were granted a variance the first time?
No,
If it's a 20-foot
No,
setback.
no.
Saying they were zoning?
no, they were built before zoning.
Oh. Well, that does throw a monkey wrench in things, doesn't it, kids? Okay.
Now, how far would Peck's be sitting back from the road? I mean, the town doesn't have a town
It's
center
it was
like Rhinebeck.
grandfathered in.
Yeah, but I'm saying that the aesthetically, the buildings are all in different depths from the road. There is no Rhinebeck.
But moving forward from when the zoning was put in,
Yeah,
we're looking to keep that small town aesthetic of.
well, well, like Chips, where that sits, it's in the middle of the parking lot.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So
can
let me
park-
ask you,
Okay, I'm just gonna say with Chips, you can park one car in front, so that makes it about 25 feet back from the road.
Yeah.
Maybe 35. This is, they're asking for 163 feet. There's gonna be a giant parking lot. It's gonna look like a truck stop out front.
We'll also have, aesthetically, a lot more green space out front just to, dress up this gateway coming into town from
That
82.
oblong section. Is that what the oblong section on the?
This whole oblong
That's here.
section will be green.
That was still, that's there now. They're not changing that footprint.
and it looks
Is
like
that
they would
footprint is-
extend that.
From the
because
change
This
of
is
middle.
the current, yeah.
It'll-
It's bigger.
Yeah, because this is where it is now on the red. So what is the purpose? Why are they feeling the need that they need to, is it just sheer growth or?
The amount of products we could offer
Mhm.
in the existing store.
Right.
Are limited.
Okay,
we've obviously, we've been through one addition to this building.
Yeah.
Putting another addition on the existing building just does not make sense internally. We also understand the look of the building. We've been looking, I'm sure people have seen this design building at New Stewart's
Yeah.
before. We're looking to, really class up the look of the building, make it fit better into the community that it's built in. And as far as the internal flow of the site also, will be beneficial as far as, the existing parking now in the front is cramped. When you get trucks in here, as far as a delivery truck right now sits along the side, blocking the side parking over in here. Gas trucks would sit up front, to where we're gonna spread everything out to where it'll get better flow in and out of the site. Actually safer flow in or out of the site.
Will we be gaining any gas pumps? It looks like it's
You'll
the
be-
same number.
No,
No, same number because you're going from two doubles to four singles.
but you'll be spread out. You'll be spread out to where they're in parallel. You won't be
Yeah.
blocked by somebody, a larger vehicle that might pull up to the first, will block the second, or you might not be able to get out if you're behind and you
Right.
have to circle. There will just
Are we
be,
gonna gain diesel?
you'll gain low flow diesel.
Is that what-
So
okay,
I see some serious benefits, but I also have two concerns that maybe you can help address. One of which Scott and Drew have brought up, but in terms of benefits, I see that you've set this up so that you can keep the store open.
Correct.
And that I think is a good thing. But more importantly, I think like the setup with the green there, and yes, it's a gateway, and the comprehensive plan in terms of keeping it rural, you want it to be aesthetically pleasing and safe. So I agree with Scott in terms of, the architecture enhancement and the green space would be helpful, but also in terms of safety, I think, like the way that even though if it was pedestrian friendly, it would be close to the street in terms of like what we talked about in terms of zoning initially. That seems better for like the center of town where people are walking. Whereas at this point, it's kind of a transition. It's like it's where it goes from like 35 to 55. And so as people are coming in, I see that it's maybe safer the way that this would be set up. So you'd have things more spread out, that people could have time to slow down and like get in there. And so I think all of those things are good improvements.
We're also proposing a connecting similar to what is there today, a sidewalk leading from 82 back to the
Oh,
store.
that would also help in terms of making it more pedestrian friendly and safer. Yeah. So the two concerns that I have are with the footprint in terms of it becoming bigger. Number one, and number two, I have questions about it being the water near the water source, the environmentally fragile part. You purchased property behind there. I don't know enough about if that's going to affect the water source, but I would want to know that's been addressed. I know that maybe the gas tanks, you have like special kinds of things that you put around them to help protect it from bursting and ruining the whole water supply for the town, that kind of thing.
The gas tanks that are in the ground now, I believe, are similar to ones we would propose putting in. They're a double wall fiberglass. They have a brine solution in the middle. It gets monitored to where if there's water in the brine, it pretty much gets shut off. We know that there's a leak in the outside liner. If there's gas in the brine, we know there's a leak in the inside liner. So it gets monitored constantly. We know if something is wrong, we can go in, fix it immediately. Right now, a lot of our older shops, they're older tanks to where you don't know until you do. Unfortunately.
Yeah, and
These would be double wall. These will be the existing ones that are here. I believe they're I believe they're less than 10 years old. I don't think they're, I don't think they're.
And how often are they monitored? I mean, so,
Constantly.
oh, okay, so
They're
then,
monitored right at the shop.
so,
When they tried to put them in the first time, they put it back up.
ah,
Oh, yes, yes.
okay,
There-
so that makes me feel better. Then the other issue is about the footprint then. So, it was before zoning that it went from 2,500 to 3,200 square feet. And now you're proposing to make it larger. So I understand as a business to sell more, but then that also affects PEX, the grocery store here, which we're really so lucky to have. And I know that when you came in the first place, that was a real issue for PEX, and that they, I know Donnie, it said, you know, that they lost $20,000 a month, I guess, in terms of what they sell. Right now, it's a tricky balance, I'm sure, between making sure that, you know, we are really dependent on Stewart's and
Yeah.
grateful for having, you know, that convenience store open and we need gas. We are
We do.
a car.
Yeah, there
We
used to be
are-
4 or 5 gas
Yeah.
stations.
Right,
This is the only
exactly.
game in town.
Yeah, so I mean, so it's vital to the community, but if it were to expand to the point that it shut down the grocery store that we have here, then that's,
Yeah, I can't-
and
Yeah.
and since it's like from 3,200 to 4,200 square feet, and because you want to be able to sell other items, you know, I mean, that's, of course, you're right, but in terms of it maintaining a small rural community with really vital kinds of services, that's,
My first
And it's
comment,
fragile.
off that
right.
topic just to touch. And Chairman, maybe you know, the going from when we did the addition on the building, was that before zoning as well, or?
No, I think that what Drew was saying is that either the planning board or the town completely missed what was in the zoning law.
Okay,
It was the beer cave.
now, back to your point on the grocery store,
Mhm.
the last thing we want to see is, you know, we're not looking to, you know, steal
Replace.
business. We're not looking to replace.
Mhm.
A lot, and I'm not gonna say there won't be additional grocery items available. The majority of the new items are like food to go is what we call it. You know, you wanna stop in and get, you know, a coffee and an egg which in the morning as your coffee,
Mhm.
or along with gas. Stuff that you would only get at a convenience store, you know, a piece of pizza, stuff like that,
Mhm.
might not be offered today. There'll be a larger selection of those items.
Of to
available.
go kind of
To
food.
go.
Yeah,
Yes.
May I-
Thanks.
May I say something?
Certainly, go ahead, Carl.
I understand what everybody's talking about. And those are all concerns that we have about our town. But that has nothing to do with this variance that we have for the yard setback. That's what we're supposed to be looking at.
well, it does have to do with that, and I think that that's justified, from what I'm hearing so
Well,
far.
the size, yes.
Yeah, well,
the-
not with the size, but with the setback. That the setback,
Is, basically, he wants to be set back further than what the zoning calls for.
Mhm.
It doesn't
Right.
make a difference what other businesses are in town.
yeah, but
that-
those are
that
two different
pertains-
issues.
Okay.
Two different issues. So the setback, you know, I get that it's a transitional place. So it needs to be consistent with the neighborhood, but it also needs to be safe, and that I think that it makes sense to have
So
more of a setback.
my concern is you wanna build it far back because you wanna be able to keep the stewards open while you're building the building.
Correct.
That's great. How are you gonna build a building on top of the septic of the existing building?
New septic would get constructed first.
Mhm.
We would do one of two things, and again, it'd be a Dutchess County call. We would either take pretty much from this pump station that sits behind the store now, pump it to the new system during construction, or in other towns that we've had similar situations, we pretty much just plop in 1,000-gallon tank right there and just pump it out weekly
During construction.
during construction.
And is it now, it's a holding tank? Is that the way it works now? There's no leach field?
There's a
There-
leach,
there is a leach
there's a
field.
leach field pretty much
Underneath where the building
it's
is.
like right here.
Oh,
The leach field does.
and
not.
what,
goes
in the future, will you use a
It's
leach
gonna-
field in the
Yeah, it's gonna
back?
be over there.
Back here.
Oh, okay.
This right
It's
here
not
is
a
a leach
holding
field.
tank.
No,
Okay.
it'll be a leach field.
And
Yeah,
that doesn't affect.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'd like
sensitive.
to mention this is that normally when, again, most of you know, I was a professional planner for my career. Normally what a community would do with good planning, if they have a major property that is important to the town, they would not accept one design. The applicant would come in not with a completely engineered and architecturally complete drawing. They would come in and say, hey, we'd like to expand our building. What do you think? We'd like to have our business here. And just as I'm saying, I think that it could be really good for both parties. You would then come in and say, conceptually, how would you like it to happen? We've already spelled out extensively in the comprehensive plan and in our zoning that we have said we would like these buildings to be up close to the highway where they slow down the traffic as it comes into town. So that, again, we're creating a safe, walkable, bikeable community that happens by reducing people's perception, by bringing the highway and the buildings closer together. And so what I am suggesting is that we have the ability under seeker to request alternative designs. And I'm telling you, I've taken their 4,000 square foot building and put it up close to the street. You can do it and still keep the existing building open. And my suggestion would be that we ask for a couple more conceptual designs, not something that's real expensive. I can't tell you the number of hours and time that they put into this, I really think, to kind of force it on us. It shouldn't have come this way. It should have come as sort of blob drawings and say, this is kind of what we'd like. What do you think? And we could say, well, what about moving this? What about moving that? This is all, it's done as if we're gonna completely accept it. I find that just incorrect way of doing business. And under seeker, we can request alternative designs. I would love to see a alternative design that puts the building up front, keeps the existing building operative. And if they won't do it, we can ask our engineer to do it.
Mr. Chairman, let me tell you this. I am the one that does these designs. We do have alternative designs, which we would gladly share with this board. This is not a completed design. We realize we're here before this board, as well as the planning board. There will be tweaks to every plan. But showing it like this gets us in front of this board to say, this is the setback we're looking for a variance on. You know, a Sharpie drawing, to be honest, it takes more time to do that just because it's an extra step we might not need.
You just punch these numbers in the computer and spit this out for you.
This is all done on the computer. You know, we have a building size we know we like.
Yeah.
We know that works well for us. We're able to fit it on what we believe the best we can. Then we come before the board and just, you know, get your opinion on the design itself. If you want us to go back, we can present other designs as well. Along those lines, we have done at other shops decorative features to bring, I guess, the building closer, as far as, you know, a fencing with columns or stone walls along the front, just to give the perception of, you know, that front setback that you're looking for, by allowing us to still, you know, construct what we're looking to do as well. We're definitely up for, you know, options. We'll present you with other options. We'll show you what we're looking at. And as far as, you know, the building up front, I do find it, you know, I'm not going to say it doesn't fit up there, but you're definitely losing that curb cut. You'll lose gas completely because those tanks have to come out.
Yeah.
And you'll lose all the access to the front of the building.
And it becomes one access point over here.
which is less.
Now,
safe. Yeah.
I'm familiar with the one in Kingston where the building is attractive building that you're looking at directly and all the pumps are off to the side. On the north side.
Okay,
Yeah, and that's a kind of an attractive new building that you guys put up. That's just an observation that the different designs and the tanks are
Yeah.
not necessarily right in front of the building.
correct.
They're off
Yeah.
to one side.
Yeah, I'd like to see some alternatives where the building is up close, as was strongly specified in our comprehensive plan and in the zoning itself. And that the pumps and the gas business is in the back. It's not like people in Pine Plain, it's not like Stewart's is competing with another gas station. Everybody knows where the gas station is in Pine Plains. It's been the only one there for the last 10 years.
Mhm.
No, it's, I like the building and I like the concept. What I have a hard time swallowing is how much setback there is. For the last, 8 years I've been on the ZBA, we've been telling everybody close, we want it close. This is the zoning, this is what's gotta be. And so for us to just blatantly throw that in the air and say, okay. It just kind of pours salt in everybody else's wound. We gotta figure out, and I understand what you're saying about trying to keep business. I know that's revenue. You're gonna lose for at least 6 months if you have to shut down in order to do the whole conversion.
Employees as well.
And employees as well, and that's huge. So. Yeah, that's a tough spot to try to figure out how to make the town zoning right and still not.
One issue you also run into with a building, you're looking for, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're looking for the frontage of the building as close to 82 as possible. Correct?
That building
Right, the
was.
zoning is 10 to
Here.
25
And
feet.
that's awkward as hell.
Right.
Yeah.
That building is here.
I don't
This
think it's
can't
at
be
all
then back
convenient.
here.
Would have been nicer.
And they-
I can't run a
front of
gas
the
station
building.
without seeing my gas.
Well, if you could walk there to the front.
Right, well, you have to.
What you would have, if
Yeah.
you said it.
Then-
Mhm.
But then
It doesn't
then the
serve
back of the
purpose.
building's on
Town
82.
is too-
My delivery area's
Mixed up.
on
It's not really
82,
back.
all of my mechanicals are on 82,
Then you have to have like
That's
greeneries
right.
or something to cover it, right?
but then I'm hidden.
Right, then nobody sees Stewart's.
So Stewart's had to purchase additional land to make
Correct.
this happen, correct? May I ask how much they purchased? Do you know offhand, are we talking,
You're 130 feet by 163.
okay,
Yeah. All this is.
Yes, yeah, the line is right here.
on all three sides, you see who owns that.
No, I'm sorry, line's here.
So why couldn't you give us some more land on this side of it? That would have been nice,
Because they can break up that parcel on the other side.
Yeah.
Break up that parcel.
of course.
That's where Dunkin' Donuts is gonna go.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Wait for that. Wait for that.
Yeah.
The one in my house doesn't look too prosperous.
So that was a lot line adjustment with the planning board, what, about 6 months ago?
I would say, yeah, it's probably about right, yes.
And I believe the question was asked, did Stewart's have any future plans? And at that time, the statement to the planning board was, no, we have no future plans. It's just, we would love to be more upfront and to have, again, I think that there's more than this alternative that allows you to meet your objective and for the town to meet its objectives. And I would love to see an alternative that actually meets the zoning, because I believe it can be done and even keep stuff in business. I mean, you could move the tanks first and then build your building essentially where the canopy is now.
Where are these things going?
Move the tanks where the canopy is now.
I'm saying
Then
the
I would
building,
have
the
a-
building probably ends up in the south. What would that be?
West?
Southwest corner. I think it even fits in. You wouldn't even have to change your DOT entrances. But until we see alternatives, we don't know that. And if you would like to have our engineer plan that.
There's no,
I would think it's worthwhile to do that.
So they'll put money in this.
we have a number of engineers on staff. We've got no problem showing you the alternatives
Yeah.
and getting your feedback on the alternatives.
So I don't know, are there other? I've end up being the one expressing most of the concerns, but I'm just one vote, one person, and I'm interested in terms of what the other board says, but I have a really hard time given essentially 135-foot variance when it says right in the law, we're supposed to give the minimum. And most of the time we're dealing with variances of 10 or 20 feet. And again, this is a gateway property to the community where we're trying to establish what we want our community to be. And it was to move the buildings up close, slow the traffic down, and make it pedestrian and bikeway friendly. By having a large parking lot with 105-foot long gas canopy out in front, it looks, to me, it looks like a truck stop. And I don't think that's what we want as the entrance to Pine Plains.
Now, I was just watching all the places in Kingston and travel over there. Now, Quick Check is a huge
Right.
gas operation, but they haven't made it in the front fairly attractive, the whole thing.
Mhm.
So that you have maybe, well, you canopy twice that size,
Yeah.
but the whole setup looks fairly attractive.
Yeah.
I mean, it is set back and it's, it's a gas station. This is a gas station too. You know,
I don't think it's gonna look like a truck stop, but I understand his concerns, but this is not the center of town. And I understand it's where we come into town, but it is not the center of town. We have to. I think in terms of the building and what it's being used for, and it's the only game in town. And trying to get in and out of Stewart's presently can be disastrous on a good given day. I am liking that there's a little more room for getting around here and safer traffic flow. And the biggest thing
Depends
is
on the
when,
traffic,
well, it depends on the traffic, but the
because
worst thing.
that's not gonna help anybody with a trailer at all.
like a boat, like
A
the
boat, trailer,
Right.
anything they're
going,
on,
yeah.
you're still crap up a creek.
Yeah,
And and I don't see anywhere for somebody with a truck and a trailer to park. Anywhere. That's just from my end of the spectrum.
There is parallel spots here.
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
I don't know what.
That's not gonna work.
Okay.
There's at any given time in this town, at least 30 truck and trailers in this town.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to suggest that we look at some alternatives.
Not, and not to mention, there's always gonna be at least one car parked in one of those spots,
Yeah, that's-
mostly in the middle.
Right.
Always.
Somebody
They are
always
presently.
somebody always park there,
Yeah.
right there, and they'll park there all day.
It's true.
I do
I'm
like,
gonna-
I do like that you cut this out. Because they drive through here anyway.
I'm gonna ask maybe a stupid question, but
No.
where do they park now?
Where do they park now?
You'd be surprised. Wow.
They park right out here.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, they do.
Because
That's
they-
exactly where they park.
No, that's,
And now the gentleman who you just bought this property on doesn't let anybody park out here,
God
but this
forbid.
is my road.
Yeah,
It's my road. You can't
so
park there.
he won't let the big trucks park there. Yeah.
We're not even talking tractor trailer, we're just talking
No.
trucks with a mowing
Love trucks.
trailer and or a boat, or if they're hauling their bikes or
Mhm.
snowmobiles.
Yeah.
I know the Stewarts in, your second grossing Stewarts over in Salt Point
okay.
Mm-hmm.
is
Right on the parkway.
Yeah,
quite
that's,
the show in
that's
their
a
parking
busy
lot,
place.
trying to get in and out, because you made one
One-
exit entrance and not an exit.
I'm not gonna say we did.
That you've got the name, you've got the name.
I'm not
You have to own it. I don't feel like- That is no fun.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
My point is, we wouldn't do that on purpose. We were forced to do that.
Mhm.
And I agree. I agree, it's not fun.
And that's why I'm being particular on this, because I know how hard it is to get in and out with a bigger vehicle. Whether it's with a truck and a trailer, or whether it's a bigger truck
So
hauling
you,
something.
so you'd like to see alternatives where it might be able to come in on,
I like to see
different
that.
places.
before. 'Cause let's face it. Stewart's get a lot of money from those guys who are plowing driveways. Hauling the fire trucks. Mowing lawns, they're coming in, they ain't got time to go to the diner or the restaurant, they got time to jump into Stewart's. Grab that cup of coffee, something warm off the rack. Bada bing, bada boom, they're out and they're off to the next job.
and then it would be nicer if they're not parked in the front, if they're
Right.
parked in the back.
And they don't wanna get stuck behind grandma who's trying to figure out how the pump system works. Because she
Yeah.
doesn't have her card or her glasses on.
Right.
Yeah, I think there's real opportunities to make this where it is a win-win for stewards,
Absolutely.
and the community. And I think putting all that gas and larger maneuverability for the gas truck and other stuff out behind the building, that's an alternative that we should be looking at. And again, my
It
suggestion
can't be
from
behind
here,
the building. He just said it can't be behind the building. They need to have their
Pumps.
pumps in front of the building.
We need
that's not true.
visibility
That's
to it.
not true.
Well, they're saying
Oh,
as part of their business model and their plan, that is how they do it. So yes.
If the building is in front of the pumps, that means the building has to face the pump. The building has to
Right.
face the pumps at all times. If the building's facing the pumps, then the town is looking at the backside of the building.
Right.
All their AC units, coolant units,
Trash.
fridge units, their trash,
Yeah.
their loading docks. Something's gotta look at it.
Right.
That's what they're trying to avoid.
There is such a thing as screening.
Yep. And then you can't see their building at all, hence you don't see them.
Then that defeats what we're doing here.
I say we look at some alternatives and
Yes. and
I
we
know
agree with you.
designers who would take all of the concerns and come up with something that could
I don't
work
think we need
for
this.
all the parties.
Yeah.
And if they can't do it, they're not very good designers.
They can't do that, they want to do that.
It's
That's,
just north of that.
That's what we're going, we can do that, yes,
And it's-
and we will do that,
And
and we are very
of
good
course, they
designers.
may
We've
have
been
had
doing
a
this
bigger,
for many
wider
years.
space.
We know
but it
exactly
looks
what
very
we
nice,
need with our
really.
stores. We do look forward to working with the town on this design.
Absolutely.
We're not looking to fight the town on anything.
No. nope.
No,
So yeah, we get new designs. Is that our game plan?
bring it back next month.
Yeah, I'm good. with-
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that-
I would say that the next step is to get a couple alternative designs. I don't feel even comfortable going through the seeker form with this. I would have to raise things where I would essentially force them to go through the seeker process and force them to come up with alternative designs. I would rather not get into that because that delays things. It's expensive for the applicant. I would rather them voluntarily come in with a couple other alternative designs.
Yep.
How would you suggest we do that? Is it an informal sit down? Is it something you want to do it? Resubmit a number of designs so that we can have this open meeting?
That would be, I think that that's the way that, yeah, I think that that would be great. Again,
That's good.
I'm saying that, I'm willing to even work with them on the building size and stuff because I think Stewart's, provides a service to the community. I think that going from the building that's there, I don't want to downgrade it too much, but the new building with a gable roof and I just think it's a much more attractive alternative for the community. And I would like to see something happen. I just have a real problem with turning 160 feet of it into paving out in front.
I completely understand your concerns and will represent with alternatives.
Thanks.
Perfect.
Does anybody else have any other suggestions as to how to proceed? I mean, and again,
I think that's the only, I think that's the only way we can proceed.
We're all in
Makes
agreement.
sense.
That's the only way we can proceed.
Yeah.
I think it makes the most sense because otherwise, I can tell you, there are people in the community who are gonna come out and crucify us. And we'll be forced into, you know, a long, you know, seeker review, and it'll be expensive, and I don't want to do that to the applicant. And I don't want to do it to us because it's time for us too. So I would prefer to, again, try to work willingly on a few alternatives, designs as we go forward. I think that that's the best way to proceed.
I think we're all in agreement.
So the next meeting then is the third Tuesday of next month. 7:30.
No.
Actually, no, normally we meet the fourth Tuesday.
Yeah.
Fourth Tuesday.
If we, well, I would end up zooming, if we were to move to the fifth Tuesday, I believe that I could attend in person. And,
Keep it on the floor.
Keep it on the 4th,
okay,
the 24th. We can't
The
do.
31st.
Yeah, I
Oh,
can't do the
okay.
31st. I have it on my calendar for the 4th Tuesday.
Yeah, the 24th.
Yeah.
So I hope I can. My daughter is pregnant and that's her due date.
Congratulations.
Yeah, she wants to go earlier. So.
Tell her to hold.
That's her line.
Come on.
Let her know what to do.
look at the time.
But I will be here if I can.
Okay, perfect.
Would it be helpful if you brought some of your existing plans for a few of the ones that have been put up recently?
Definitely. That can be-
Even if it's photographs and
Yep.
whatever it is, just so that we see, you know, what you.
And particularly the
so.
Kingston one you said
Yeah,
is
the Kingston
got
one's
the
nice.
side.
The property doesn't live.
Yeah, exactly. I know, that's the tough part. Is,
yeah.
you know,
See, they have a big
width
wider,
versus depth and-
right, yeah, and it's nice.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Somebody else said this, just like this.
Really?
Okay, and I guess that the other technical part of completing the application besides, would be to, again, I think that Drew and I in conversation just recognized that they, in addition to the setback variance, they need a square footage variance. So if you just make sure that Drew probably has to do a denial and the application has to be altered to reflect that. And I
I'll
think
get- I'll
that's
get
it.
Graham-
And I think that's it unless Drew has something else.
No, I'll do that. I'll send a
Okay.
letter. I'll send a letter to Stewart's like I did before. Just stating
Yep.
that it's a little after the fact, but nevertheless, there
Yeah.
is a square footage issue.
Further research, we found something else that we had missed earlier.
And we'll adjust the application and the seeker form to reflect that as well.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Yeah,
sounds
that
great.
sounds really good.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Yes, thank you.
motion.
All right, we thank Stewart's very much for, trying to work with us and come up with a couple alternatives, and we look forward to working with you.
Great, thank you, and I
Thank you.
appreciate your help, and, we'll be back and hopefully get through this pretty easily.
Okay,
All right, thank
Sounds
you.
like a
Thanks.
plan.
Very much.
Thank you.
let's see. I think that our only other item was the minutes from the last meeting. Were there any corrections that people wanted to make to those minutes?
I thought it was good.
I thought they looked good. I read through them.
The only thing that, again, I always suggest, Trish, is that you always refer to the resolution, but to me, because minutes can get separated from resolutions, I would always just include them right in the minutes, so there's no possibility
Yes,
that,
I do, with the final ones, I always do include the
Okay.
resolution, I have to send a PDF to everyone.
Yep,
I feel like the Word is easier to review than the Word document, but I do send when they're finalized, I PDF it with the resolution, send it for their website and all that.
There's so-
So, is there a motion to accept those minutes?
So made.
A second.
Second? All in favor will say aye.
Aye.
I have to abstain because I couldn't make that meeting. Sorry.
Okay, I think that we're good and so the next meeting is the 4th,
Oh,
Tuesday at 7:30.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Stay
Okay.
well.
All right.
Good night, everyone.
Okay, good night.